Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to meet the U.S. president again, with the Gaza hostage release and a ceasefire deal on the agenda. The meeting is the pair's first since a ceasefire took effect between Iran, Israel and the U.S. following 12 days of conflict, and comes as the IDF says it struck Houthi targets in Yemen. Yossi Mekelberg is a senior consulting fellow on the Middle East and North Africa for British think tank Chatham House, and he joins me now from London. Yossi, good to have you with us once again. Firstly, there's talk of perhaps a victory lap, or at least a pat on the back on the handling of the Iran situation when Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu meet. But what do you think might be really right on top of the agenda when they do hold talks in private?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I think, yes, there is an element here that the two leaders bonded over the issue of Iran. But the most urgent issue right now is to reach a ceasefire in Gaza. And I think this is, in a way, it's a priority in order to reach other priorities, which for both leaders is to expand and extend the Abraham Accord. Whether it's going to happen immediately or not, we don't know. But everything from dealing with negotiating with Iran, stopping the attacks by the Houthis, maybe extending the Abraham Accord to Saudi Arabia and Syria will go through first the ceasefire in Gaza and then addressing in a comprehensive way the Palestinian issue.
Yes, and also this is the first meeting since Donald Trump quite explicitly said that he was not happy with the way Israel was handling the situation with Iran. Even swore when he was talking about it, saying that they don't know, he doesn't know. He thinks that Iran and Israel don't know what they're doing. Could things can perhaps be a bit frosty should Benjamin Netanyahu perhaps keep closing the door on a potential ceasefire?
Well, we know that President Trump is transactional. One day he's happy, the next day he's not happy. It all depends on the last conversation and the last interaction, whoever he interacts. So I won't put too much into that. When he wants to achieve something and the other side proves to be a bit difficult, then comes, as you said, not exactly the diplomatic language. The other hand, he gets what he wants, so he falls of praise. Is not working according to the diplomatic convention. So I think I wouldn't bear there by the language itself. But I think that he's interested in a ceasefire. He thinks that this would lead to something bigger that makes him, looks better and probably closer to a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, do things look good then for Donald Trump in that way? Because we have seen Hamas opening the door to Washington's ceasefire deal, saying that it is now seriously ready to re-enter negotiations.
Yeah, and there is a sort of discourse beyond the Middle East that Trump gets what he wants. He gets what he wants when he goes to a NATO summit. He gets what he wants when it comes to the budget, that everyone votes for it, even if we disagree with that. So it's create almost a success that leads success because no one rejects, even if they disagree with the way that he operates. But for him, there is kind of the notion that if the war in Gaza comes to an end, then he can achieve what he wants, one negotiation with Iran that will lead to end of the Iranian nuclear, at least the military side of this, and which for him is the jewel in the crown when it comes to the relation of Israel in the Middle East and also in this sense in the United States, is extending the Abraham Accord beyond what was signed during his first term.
Yes, and then there might be one potential sticking point here because Hamas is calling for the UN to once again lead its aid distribution system and for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to exit the scene altogether because of what we've seen in the past couple of weeks, the number of people that have been shot and killed in those GHF run aid distribution points. Do you think that's something that Trump would perhaps push Benjamin Netanyahu to do?
I think between here and now and a ceasefire, there are quite a few sticking points. It's the right wing in the Israeli government that opposes it. It's Hamas that wants to see immediately the end of the war, which is Israel disagrees. the way that hostages are released vis-a-vis Palestinian prisoners. But the issue of the humanitarian aid and the GHF was a bad idea from the outset, which proved to be disastrous, as people that are actually lining to get food are shot, and we are talking about many, many dozens of them. And, this issue was sidelined a bit, but, since the beginning of the war in Iran, and since then, hundreds and hundreds of Palestinians have been killed, many of them as they were queuing to get food, and the humanitarian disaster is continuing in Gaza. Humanitarian aid should be left to humanitarian organizations, should have been left to UNRWA and other organizations that are actually experienced and geared to address these issues.
Yes. And finally, Yossi, I wanted to get your thoughts on what you make of, there were reports coming out of the West Bank that 5 senior sheikhs, mostly in Hebron region, they want to join the Abraham Accords that seeks to establish diplomatic normalization between Arab states and Israel, but noting that this group does not see any merits in establishing a Palestinian state and also oppose the Palestinian Authority. What do you make of this?
I mean, it's an interesting story. I don't know how much traction there is within the Palestinian community opposing a Palestinian state. I think as a result of the last disastrous 2 years, different people have different opinions. I can't see what is the alternative to a two-state solution in one way or another, probably a confederation. But, giving up on the Palestinian state, what does it mean? It means that continuing the occupation, Israeli occupation, entering other forces there. So I think this story will die quite quickly.
Okay, Yossi Mekelberg, always good to get your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.